You can't push messages at them because and I think that's pretty consistent across most tools now. But yeah, so essentially the question is, do we still use Facebook for searching for profiles? The answer is no. We've really aligned with how users were using Facebook, but they were very open to advertising and direct marketing that allowed them to then opt into a communications program, whether that being a talent network, whether that being a signing up for one of our clients' employment blogs and so forth. So, so I got the next question here. Do you think social networking and recruitment efforts works for all types of retail companies? I'm seeing it right now. I mean, we've got a very, very diverse set of clients, and we're using them for each one. I think so the answer to that, the short answer is yes. I think every single retailer, even any company for that matter, social media and social networks are extremely effective ways to go and recruit, and then typically you can see very high ROI because they're very inexpensive to use. I think that what's important though is you look at what's needed. So where is the gap? When you go look at your recruitment strategy and you think about the corporate strategy, is what are you trying to go hire experienced managers, right? So I'll give you an example. We've got a client that's got they've got multiple managers in place, but they recognize that they need to go and shift a little bit around the capability set. They need to bring in some new, different types of people, and they also want to target recent grads, people with business skill sets. So looking at the tools that you would use within vary. LinkedIn, for example, is still a great tool to go find district managers and experienced store managers. Facebook is a fantastic tool for finding produce clerks in Calgary, for example. So I think that what's needed is a clear understanding of who are you targeting, what is your value proposition, and then picking the appropriate tools to use to go in and drive those candidates into the system. Next question is, we currently are using Twitter or Facebook. How do you recommend we get started? Yeah, so great question. I think that the simplest way, and a crawl, walk, run approach to social media with retailers, and the first step is to start a Twitter page and start posting your jobs on there. And I'd make sure that you at least post on Twitter once a day. If you posted once a day, I think that's a great start. The Facebook fan page stuff is interesting. So many people, what we're seeing is marketing right now. All of a sudden, and a lot of retailers are saying, no, we're going to own the Facebook fan page, and HR is typically not getting a ton of opportunity to post their content out. So I've seen one of two things. One, someone going out and building Facebook fan pages that are specifically based around careers and employment brands. Two being the incorporation of that job content into Facebook. So to answer the question how to get started, I think number one is, does your marketing department, have they started a Facebook fan page? And if so, work with them on making sure that new jobs and content can be posted through their pages. And if you don't have a Twitter page, my recommendation is create a very simple branded Twitter feed and start posting your jobs on there and advertising it on your careers page and also in your job postings. So that's probably the easiest way to first get started into it. Okay, got a great question here, and I'll just read this out. Tell us about the challenge now retail businesses have to catch the first quality of candidate within the first 72 hours, i.e. first quality candidates versus to deal with the second after 72 hours. Establish first contact with a candidate in the first 72 hours after a job posting. So I think if I understand the question correctly, it's as the market heats up and candidates become active, is you've got a very short period of time to get them engaged. And some of you on the call, I know you're in industries where you're somewhat limited to what you can go pay people. You may have a union, for example, or a fairly set pay structure that does have a challenge. So here's where I think that the biggest opportunity is well, first and foremost, I think if you get great candidates, you need your technology and your systems to literally know the second these people are applying if they're a potential good fit, and that's where some of the electronic pre-screening works. What we find, though, is if the recruitment function is decentralized and it's the responsibility for a store manager to react within 24 hours, it's very difficult because they've got many jobs beyond recruitment. So the importance is absolutely critical, because what we're finding is if you get them through an active an active source, and when I explain that is, if you get a candidate through Monster or a major job board, is that candidate, I can guarantee you they've applied to other places. So the ability to quickly go and clarify what your employment value proposition is, to communicate with them and get them into the store for an interview, I think is absolutely paramount to winning the war. The other piece to that, and what I should mention, and what's our recruiters here, and what we found is that when we did some research with a couple thousand candidates on the reasons they go and select opportunities and they stay, proximity to where they live, to what location they're working at, is one of the biggest reasons for early turnover. And in fact, you could actually, believe it or not, it's for the retailers who have got a challenge paying a high wage. One of the biggest ways you can remain competitive is making sure that you're geo-targeting and you're working with candidates who are very close by. If a candidate has to take a bus there and back to get to your competitor to go work versus for you, they could ride their bike or they could walk to work, that starts to provide an extremely well, it's a great competitive advantage, and it actually allows you to going down the street for more money. Is extremely critical. So, great question. I mean, I think that it is extremely important. The challenge all are going to have is when you you put the technology in place, you can screen through the candidates, but now how do you go and quickly respond and manage that candidate within a 24-hour period upon application? And that's going to be a big challenge. And you know, part of the plug here for Mindfield Group is that's exactly what we do. It's because we feel that's one of the most important components of the early stages is to speak with people who are talented, who are a good fit immediately upon application, because it will provide you with a competitive advantage. So the importance of it's critical. Whether or not your store managers can manage that process for you is going to be the big decision that you're going to have to make internally around resourcing. So I hope that somewhat answered that question. And we've got one final question here. The majority of our candidates are walk-ins. How do we best manage them in regards to getting them to apply online and go through the electronic screening process? So great final question. The best answer there is this. What I would recommend that you do, and Best Buy is excellent at this, is you go into Best Buy and you're asked to go and apply online, and it keeps things consistent as far as the recruitment process goes. What I'd recommend is you may want to go create some very basic cards. And if you think about it, if you go create a separate branded careers or job site, you can actually go with your Google Analytics on the back end, you can actually measure where that walk-in traffic's going, because if you give them a unique URL on that business card to go visit, then you can actually see that traffic's coming from walk-in. So my recommendation is equip your store managers with some basic business cards that say, great, you want to apply. I've met you this year. You know, you seem great. I've got your name here, and I'll make sure that we get you through the process. But go apply online, go through the questions, and by giving them a basic card to then go and apply online like everybody else is a great way to centralize that walk-in traffic challenge. And the last one here is a copy of the PowerPoint and Q&As. Certainly, I will definitely be making this webinar available via recording, so it will be available online. And as far as the Q&As, we don't typically publish the Q&As, but it's something we can possibly look at, and I'll let everyone know if that's something we're finally, if there's anything you want to take offline and speak with me about, please feel free. I can be reached at 604-899-4473, and my extension is 702, and I'm more than happy to talk retail. And that's it. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I hope you had a fantastic week.